Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to installment of Scott Selections here for Tuesday, October 18th. Before getting today's play of the day, quick recap of what happened yesterday. We had a nice winner in the NFL with the race to 30 points in neither at minus 145 on DraftKings in that Chargers-Broncos game. First half was somewhat high scoring. You had 13-13 at the break. Then you had no touchdowns in the entire second half. Game went to overtime, and neither team got to 20 points after overtime. Really never in doubt. We expected to see a lot of really awful offensive execution with regard to the bad coaches and the injured offensive lines. And that's exactly what happened in the second half. I mentioned race to 25. I believe it was plus 130, which had some value. I ended up playing it safe for race to 30. But if you ended up taking the plus money at 25, that was also relatively easy. Either way, look for the winner here on Tuesday. And for today's play, I know that the NBA season starts. You have two games, Celtics and the 76ers, as well as the Lakers and the Warriors. However, opening night in the NBA didn't see much value on the actual spreads or in the prop markets. And for that reason, I am going to pivot and talk about one hockey game that I really like. It's a matchup between the Ducks and the Devils taking place at around 7 p.m. Eastern time. And for this matchup, we like the total in this one. We like the over 6 goals at minus 110 on DraftKings. Time recording of 1 a.m. Eastern time. Couple reasons why I like the over in this matchup. First reason, both teams defensively really, really awful. And when I say that, I mean potentially bottom three defenses in the entire league bad. Anaheim might be the worst. To go through their numbers, Anaheim's played 3 games this season. Each game has had at least 8 goals. They gave up 6 goals against the Rangers, 7 goals against the Islanders, and 4 goals against the Kraken in the season opener. But you're going through those numbers, and the issue is they give up a bunch of shots on net, and they also give up a bunch of power play opportunities. The Ducks have allowed at least 4 power play chances in each game, and the Devils are also a really bad defensive team. Devils have played 2 games, lost 5-2 in each game, gave up 5 goals to the Red Wings and gave up 5 goals to the Flyers. Is Detroit a good team? Not really. They got some young talent. They're a pretty mediocre at best offensive team, and they still scored 5. And the Flyers entered the season basically tanking, and the Flyers still scored 5 goals. So I don't exactly trust either defense in this matchup. We know the Devils have been a high scoring team ever since Ruff took over as the head coach. A lot of pinching from the actual defensemen, a lot of chipping, and they really just leave themselves vulnerable to too many odd man rushes. And Anaheim is pretty opportunistic. I think you'll end up seeing a track meet breakout in this game where you could see both teams end up on the power play quite a ton because the Devils allowed at least 3 power play chances in each of their first 2 games. So you're looking at the overall defense, not great, and the goalies are also not very good so far this season. Gibson ended up getting benched midway through the game against the Rangers yesterday. He's been awful. Stolars ended up coming in relief, and he was the let's just say better goalie yesterday. Still gave up a goal, but he has a goals against average of 6 so far this season. Neither goalie for Anaheim has a save percentage above 88%, which is awful. And the Devils have 2 goalies. You have Blackwood and Vanacek, and each of them have a goals against average of at least 4.17. I know it's a very small sample size, but even in previous years, Blackwood's had some issues, and Vanacek has always been relatively inconsistent back when he was with the Capitals as well. But their save percentages are both below 84%. So the goalies aren't good, the defenses aren't good, and both teams commit a ton of penalties. I'm really shocked this number is at 6. I think you're going to see a bunch of scoring chances, a bunch of power plays. And of course, if you end up having 3-3, you automatically win because it goes to overtime. Even a 3-2 game, you have the empty net draw for a push there in the last couple of minutes. But I don't like either defense in this game. And I think both teams, even though offensively the Ducks aren't great, I do think defensively they're so bad the Devils could potentially score 5 by themselves, or they just end up capitalizing on the Devils' overly aggressive defense. But to go through some trends here, the over is 5-1 in Anaheim's last 6 games played on 0 days rest, and the over is 6-0 in New Jersey's last 6 games played on 2 days rest. So there is a bit of concern with the rest disparity there, with the Devils having 2 days off and the Ducks having no days off, but there's no travel involved because the Ducks played against the Rangers and MSG yesterday. But still, I think 6 is too low. I think you'll see a lot of over money coming in. But based on how these teams have played defense so far this season, I think that this total is extremely generous, and I'm going to take it. Split it once again here for Tuesday, October 18th, is going to be on the Ducks and Devils over 6 goals at minus 110 on DraftKings. Bye, everyone.